You're losing $3,000 to $15,000 every single year, and you don't even realize it. It's not coming out of your bank account, it's not showing up on your credit card statement, but it's disappearing nonetheless. This invisible financial drain affects 87% of professionals, and the worst part is that most people go their entire careers without ever recognizing it. The mistake I'm talking about costs more than your coffee habit, more than your streaming subscriptions, and probably more than your car payment. But here's the thing. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Most people track every dollar they spend, but completely ignore the thousands they never earn in the first place. You know your monthly expenses down to the penny, you watch your credit card statements like a hawk, and you probably have apps monitoring your spending habits. But there's a financial leak happening right under your nose that makes your latte habit look like pocket change. This is the world of opportunity cost, and it's bleeding you dry in ways that traditional financial advice never addresses. Opportunity cost isn't some abstract economic concept reserved for business schools. It's the real money you lose when you choose inaction over action, when you delay skill development, when you postpone career-advancing decisions. The research is staggering. Delayed action on skill development costs the average professional $8,000 annually in lost income potential. That's not a one-time hit. That's every single year you remain stuck in the same position with the same skill set, earning the same income while your potential compound interest ticks away. But let me tell you about Sarah, a marketing manager who thought she had time to figure things out. She knew digital analytics was becoming essential in her field, but she kept postponing the learning process. Month after month, she told herself she'd start next quarter. 2 years passed. During that time, 3 promotion opportunities opened up in her company, all requiring analytics expertise. Each promotion came with a $5,000 salary increase. Sarah watched 3 different colleagues get promoted into roles she could have landed. That's $15,000 in total salary increases that slipped through her fingers because she delayed learning one skill for 24 months. But here's where it gets truly expensive. Compound opportunity cost works differently than compound interest. Each year of inaction doesn't just cost you this year's potential, it reduces your baseline for all future years. When Sarah finally did learn analytics and got promoted, she was starting from a lower salary base than she would have had if she'd acted 2 years earlier. That $15,000 gap compounds forward into every future raise, every future promotion, every future job opportunity. Over a 10-year period, that 2-year delay will cost Sarah approximately $47,000 in lifetime earnings. Your brain is working against you in recognizing this drain. We're neurologically wired to notice immediate losses but ignore gradual opportunity costs. When you lose $20 from your wallet, your brain fires warning signals. When you lose $8,000 in earning potential over 12 months of inaction, your brain registers nothing. This isn't a character flaw. It's how our neural pathways evolved to handle immediate threats versus long-term consequences. The scope of this problem is massive. Research shows that 73% of professionals postpone career-advancing activities for more than 6 months, creating a systematic wealth leak across the entire workforce. We're talking about activities like learning industry-relevant software, obtaining certifications, building professional networks, or developing leadership skills. These aren't nice-to-have activities. They're direct income drivers that most people treat as someday projects. Not all inaction patterns carry the same financial weight. Some delays cost you hundreds, others cost you thousands. The highest cost inaction behavior is avoiding skill development that directly impacts earning potential. This single behavior costs professionals between $3,000 and $12,000 annually, depending on their industry and career level. Software developers who delay learning emerging frameworks, sales professionals who postpone CRM mastery, managers who avoid leadership training. These aren't just missed learning opportunities, they're financial hemorrhages. The psychology behind these patterns runs deeper than simple procrastination. We avoid skill development because it requires us to confront our current limitations, to admit we're not as competent as we'd like to believe. This creates an identity protection mechanism where we choose the comfort of our current incompetence over the discomfort of acknowledged growth. Meanwhile, the financial cost accumulates invisibly, compounding year after year. What makes this particularly insidious is that these patterns become systematic traps that compound over time. Each avoided decision creates more complexity, more options to consider, more reasons to delay. The gap between your current skills and market demands widens, making the eventual learning curve steeper and more intimidating. You end up in a cycle where inaction breeds more inaction, and the financial cost accelerates with each passing month. Your procrastination isn't a character flaw. It's a predictable system with identifiable bottlenecks that can be reverse engineered. You've been approaching your career stagnation like it's a motivation problem, when it's actually an engineering problem. The difference between people who break through income plateaus and those who remain stuck isn't willpower or talent. It's their ability to see the invisible machinery that drives their behavior and systematically redesign it. Traditional goal setting fails because it treats symptoms instead of systems. You write down your goals, create action plans, and rely on discipline to execute them. But systems thinking reveals why this approach consistently fails to address inaction traps. Your behavior isn't random. It's the predictable output of interconnected systems that operate beneath your conscious awareness. When you understand these systems, you can modify them instead of fighting them. Every instance of career stagnation operates through a three-layer system model. The surface layer consists of your visible behaviors, the procrastination, the avoidance, the endless research without action. The middle layer contains your underlying patterns, the decision-making processes, the emotional responses, the cognitive frameworks that generate those surface behaviors. The deepest layer houses the root structural causes, the environmental triggers, the identity conflicts, the systematic bottlenecks that create and maintain the entire pattern. Consider Tom, a software developer who spent 8 months researching different certifications without choosing one. He knew he needed additional credentials to advance, but he became paralyzed by the options. Should he pursue cloud architecture, data science, or cybersecurity? Each path represented a significant time investment, and choosing wrong felt like a career-limiting mistake. Meanwhile, 2 positions opened at his company that required specialized certifications. Both roles offered $6,000 salary increases. Tom watched colleagues with specific credentials get promoted, while he remained stuck in analysis paralysis. Most people attack the wrong layer of the system when they encounter this type of stagnation. They focus on motivation and willpower, trying to force themselves to make decisions or take action. But Tom's problem wasn't motivation. It was structural. He lacked a decision-making framework that could handle uncertainty and multiple viable options. The solution wasn't more motivation, it was system redesign. This creates what I call inaction feedback loops. When you avoid one decision, you create additional complexity that makes future decisions even harder. Tom's 8-month delay didn't just cost him those immediate promotions. It created a larger skill gap that made his eventual choice more consequential. The longer he waited, the more ground he had to make up, which increased the pressure on his decision and reinforced his paralysis. Each avoided decision compounds the difficulty of future decisions. Research reveals that breaking down complex goals into interconnected micro-actions eliminates the psychological resistance that causes procrastination. When you face a large, ambiguous goal, like advance my career, your brain perceives threat and activates avoidance mechanisms. But when you break that goal into specific, manageable actions, you bypass the resistance entirely. The key insight is that these micro-actions must be interconnected. Each action must logically lead to the next, creating momentum that carries you forward. The methodology for identifying and eliminating these bottlenecks operates through 3 systematic steps. First, you map your highest value opportunities by identifying the specific skills, credentials, or experiences that directly impact your earning potential in the next 12 months. This isn't about long-term career planning. It's about immediate income drivers. Second, you identify the single decision point that's causing delay in each opportunity. Not the entire process, but the specific moment where you get stuck. Third, you create a forcing function that eliminates choice paralysis by removing options and creating artificial constraints. Tom applied this process and discovered his bottleneck wasn't choosing between certifications. It was his perfectionist need to choose the optimal path. He created a forcing function by setting a deadline. He would choose whichever certification had the most job postings in his city within the next week. This eliminated the paralysis by removing the need to find the perfect choice. Within 6 months, he completed his certification and secured a promotion worth $8,000 in additional annual income. This systematic approach transforms invisible financial drains into measurable financial recovery because it addresses the actual mechanisms that create stagnation, not just the symptoms you experience on the surface.